One day Eric Voss is going to be an old man rocking his chip. I swear.
Mr. Welcome. Mr. Welcome.
This next phase, I can smell it.
I think he'll come.
Phase 45, he's coming.
His deathbed. Eric, they brought Mephisto into the MCU. He just rolls over, dies, a brooch falls out of his head. Can't cap off the Wandavision finale without checking out new Rockstars, Eric Voss's breakdown of the finale. I feel like some people have been getting like unnecessary crap on their channels about like doing theories and Easter eggs and blaming them for it's your fault, I'm hyped up, I blame you. And I'm like, guys, it's theories, they're Easter eggs.
This is part of the fun of engaging with shows like this.
And I'll also say too that I especially love new Rockstars because even if there are theories that are wrong, I feel like I still learn so much because there's so much research and additional context and source material to pull from. I'm still learning a shit ton of things. And I think that's why the arguments are sold so well and why people's theories go down that path all the time. It's tradition. Really enjoyed the hell out of the finale. Love new Rockstars. Follow them today if you haven't done so already. Let's get into it, people. Let's do it.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of WandaVision Episode 9, the series finale, a true gut punch of familial loss, overreaching fan theories, and robots talking boats. Let's break down this finale, scene by scene, frame by frame in some cases, to point out all those interesting details.
Oh my god, it's gonna break down all those things.
Just
gonna read the whole book.
The stuff they hide in these episodes has always been my favorite part of this, and I appreciate you folks for going on this ride with me. So here we go. The previously on ends with Wanda from the end of last episode, yellow frames flickering over her. If you pause it, you can see this is the moment the Mind Stone showed her her future as the Scarlet Witch, the fully powered form she becomes in this finale episode. But achieving this status comes with Wanda having to give up her family inside that hex. But this episode tells us that family is never truly lost, because our souls are rooted in the memories that we share with loved ones. So that way, family can truly be forever. Family is actually in the opening line of this episode from Tommy.
He is my family.
This kid is being choked, and his main priority is the safety of his brother. Say it with me, Vin Diesel. Family. Then after creepily rising back up, Agatha's purple blast now has a bit of red mixed in, showing how she stole some of Wanda's chaos magic and is throwing it back at her. Wanda cars Agatha into the house, with Agatha's empty boots sticking out like the Wicked Witch of the East, with this witch's basket bike, hurling fireballs from rooftops, red puffs of smoke, and killing your little dog too. Agatha is very much Wizard of Oz inspired. Actually, the 2013 film Oz the Great and Powerful shows up on the marquee again, a film directed by Sam Raimi, currently directing Elizabeth Olsen as she returns in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We're gonna explain how. Then White Vision floats down.
Is it really you?
Similar to Wanda's
I didn't actually realize just how many parallels there were to the Wicked Witch of the East. I mean, we noticed that it said Oz the Great and the Powerful in the background, and I thought that was just like an Easter egg for the fact that Sam Raimi's doing Multiverse of Madness, but it works on so many layers for the fact that she does seem to have these like correlations to Wicked Witch of the West. Did I say East earlier? It doesn't matter. You know which one I'm talking about. It's the Wicked one. Then also to have it with the Oz the Great and the Powerful with Sam Raimi in there, like that works on. That's a cool Easter egg. I really love that a lot. It's why Eric Voss rocks.
He's a rock star.
Similar to Wanda's confused greeting when she first meets White Vision in the comics, but this Mac OS Vision doesn't play nice. Ugh, that bone crunch sound effect. Luckily, Vision knocks them into a Winnebago, and boom, looking for a White Vision walking right out of those flames like the Terminator T-100. A true killing machine. Now, I love the camera motion following Wanda's glide up and then back through the window glass to Monica. Always appreciated how
your
good
contact
this show is about
shots.
scene geography. Like, we always know where in Westview we are. And when we don't know where we are, it's for a reason. The action's very easy to track. I love it. Now, Pietro traps Monica in his man cave using his super speed to tap her off her feet.
I hope you really explain all this.
I love that ping, an indicator that Monica herself is pretty sturdy. And even though Pietro is, I guess, not Fox X-Men Quicksilver, this man cave is super momentum. These are things we saw with Quicksilver in Days of Future Past. So you're just gonna take some stuff about him, but not bring the character. White Vision goes right.
Seriously. What's the deal?
Now, at first in this fight between them, Vision does have the edge by phase shifting through White Vision's blows. But notice how, over the course of the battle, White Vision learns from this so that later in the library, he catches Vision off guard by the same kind of face shifting. He's learning. I love the shot where White Vision rises from the cracked pavement, trying to drag Vision down, because White Vision is essentially a zombie corpse from the grave, dragging Vision, an angelic form conceived in this afterlife, back down to hell. Now, Paul Bettany's working double duty as both Visions, and this is confirmed. This was a big secret cameo Bettany teased.
And they're gonna be so disappointed when they find out it's
You
me.
son of a bitch.
I don't mind this. I think Bettany's great in both roles, but his trolling did kind of contribute to a perfect storm of fan expectation chaos, something that we go into in Inside Marvel. Go check that out. Now,
I was much easier to forgive the Paul Bettany troll than something else in this episode. But damn, I don't know what Paul Bettany was thinking.
Yeah, I was like, you gotta know by now that people are gonna lose their minds over this.
It's the first time he's like leading and starring in a Marvel property, and I'm like, oh, I guess you just haven't paid attention the last 10 years how these things go down, huh?
Someday we all get hazed in some way, shape, or form.
Hayward's screen shows the comparative vibranium decay of both Visions. Notice Vision represented in gold has a higher concentration than White Vision. That's because White Vision's vibranium is older, more decayed than his Hex counterpart, whose vibranium was manifested like weeks ago. Jimmy Woo snatches the
might as well
phone
just get
in
Wanda
plain sight of this sword agent, who I just assume just hates Hayward. You know, he's a dick. Jimmy picks the lock with Flourish, another nod to his close-up magic classes from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, one of my greatest pleasures throughout these breakdowns of WandaVision is pointing out just random background extras in Westview doing goofy NPC shit. Behind Wanda is this dapper Dan, frozen with his foot on the hydrant. It's not an Easter egg. I just love this weirdo. He never moves. And then Dennis the mailman drives by in that Presto truck that wasn't at all related to anything.
Don't shoot. I'm just a messenger.
Now, he said the same thing back in episode 2.
Don't shoot. I'm just a messenger.
I'm starting to think that Dennis might just be Jimmy Woo's missing witness. If you look closely in episode 5, he was ID'd on their ID wall, but we never got a close look at what was written on that file. The missing witness is definitely not Pietro / Ralph. I will get to why later. But Dennis just seems
Way to keep me
he
hooked.
could have been a past crook who would cooperate with the feds to turn in his past criminal associates. And then him saying, don't shoot, I'm just a messenger, is something you could imagine someone like that
that's a
whimpering
good
to like
point.
a
That's
just gun in his face. But then Agatha confirms that
That's
spell
a,
book
oh,
is
that's a
indeed
really
the
good point.
Darkhold.
Yeah, I think he's right about that. That's a great point.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you just say things when you're writing stuff, and you're like, it's a detail we don't need.
It's FBI shit. That's why he would go there.
We don't need to look into it. But then as fans of Marvel, we want to go like, but who is it? That must be someone important, right? That must be a superhero or something. If there's like some deleted scene, or if we do find out later, I think that's a really well-made argument for why.
Agatha confirms that her spellbook is indeed the Darkhold, Marvel's Book of the Damned. This is potentially the biggest confirmation of this episode. See, in the comics, the Darkhold was a collection of spells written by, and I think I got the right pronunciation here, Photon, the demon lord who originally cursed Wanda as
no one really knows how to
Agnes
pronounce
says
this.
Here,
The Scarlet Witch is not born, she is forged. She has no coven, no need for incantation.
Forge likely refers to her forgery by the Mind Stone, because it was that Infinity Stone amplification that made Wanda the Scarlet Witch, with Nexus level powers unique among the witches. But ironically, Agatha says this in front of a billboard for Squeaky Shine, using the power of Mother Earth. Wanda's untaught magic is a natural phenomenon, whereas Agatha, according to her Latin bullying, mors monstro naturae. She's a freak of nature, an aberration of nature. She cheated via supernatural means. And notice the book once again.
It's so funny because when she was in front of that billboard, I kept looking at it and I was like, is there something meaningful to the billboard? Is there some type of reference that could it be? But I just couldn't pinpoint it.
And I didn't read the tagline.
Yeah, I was so focused on the cleaning
graphics
solution. I was like, but I guess I missed it.
The book once again glows a fiery orange color, the same color of magic that seemed to protect Agatha from the blue spells and allowed her purple magic to take over and drain the rest of the coven. Presumably that magic came from the Darkhold and whatever demonic entity or entities are contained within. Now, the Darkhold is the source of all supernatural horrors in the Marvel world. Like, expect this book to come back in Multiverse of Madness and Blade. Many believe it belongs among the other spell books in the Carmitage library, but this looks way older. Like, there is no way Librarian Wong would let it get into this shape. I'm thinking this book actually predates that entire library. It's far more dangerous than anything in there. But inside this book, these ancient runes and geometric illustrations, like notice that hexagon framing the Scarlet Witch there. They do appear to link this magic of Agatha and her coven to the Marvel sorcerers. She even references Doctor Strange here.
Your power exceeds that of the Sorcerer
Supreme.
It's your destiny to destroy the world.
And by destroying the world, I think we can presume she means breaking apart the universe into a multiverse of alternate worlds. That might be what these various circles on the opposite page could be referring to. Now, by the way, this is a very different Darkhold than the one in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or in Runaways, further telling us that those titles might not be MCU canon.
They're not.
So, hey.
You know what I gotta say too? I think it's so cool how this show has us so hyped up for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and yet there was never a direct tease or like a post-credit scene or Doctor Strange appearing.
Nothing that's overtly like, it's a Doctor Strange setup.
yeah, and I love that, you know, because normally that's what Marvel has to do to get us really excited for the next installment. But all they had to do was tell us beforehand that, no, what happens in WandaVision will be really important in Doctor Strange. They just had to tell us that, and now we're all, it's like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness been trending like really soon after this episode aired. I love that. Absolutely love that. And did you guys see Gabriel Luna's tweet? Oh, I knew I shouldn't have left that under my pillow or something like that.
Gabriel, why? I was hoping you could come back, man.
With the multiverse, maybe one day all this shit can be MCU canon. Now, Agatha awakens
Except for
Meat Puppet
Quicksilver,
Dottie, whose real name is Sarah Proctor. Sarah Proctor was the daughter of the Proctor family, a family accused of witchcraft during the Salem witch trials. Her father, John Proctor, was hanged. Now, Sarah's husband is Harold Proctor, aka Jones. So presumably this is the name she married into, unless Harold took her name. Like, I could see him doing that. He's like a progressive fella. Now, Dottie / Sarah doesn't seem to also be a witch in Westview, at least so far. But with Agatha's survival, this nosy neighbor could identify another witch with Salem roots to try to mentor, to take under her wing.
How
we just know witchcraft
fascinating.
is an ongoing thing in the MCU 7 months later in Spider-Man Far From Home with Mr. Dell's superstition.
Science we're leaving because of witches. Welcome to the new dark ages.
So Monica realizes that Pietro is actually Ralph, the Ralph we've been looking for the whole time. The husband Agatha can't shut up about. His name is Ralph Bohner. Look, I'll have more thoughts on why this whole Evan Peters casting misdirect happened in the first place. There's actually probably a very good reason for it. We're gonna talk about it Inside Marvel, but for his part, Evan Peters had this to say about his cameo.
Dude, I'm such a huge fan of the Marvel Universe. It was so cool to come over there and hang out with all those guys.
As if this might not be an ongoing thing going forward. Now, the name Bohner could be a nod to Agatha's oft-mentioned intimacy issues with Ralph, or more likely a nod to growing pains. Mike Seaver's buddy, Richard Stabone, aka Bohner. Yeah, that was his nickname in his 80s sitcom. Now, growing pains was a reference point on the episode Evan Peters first appeared in.
That's
and
fair.
WandaVision director Matt Shackman got his showbiz start as a child actor
I read about
on
that,
Just the 10 of Us, which was a growing pains spinoff. So the guy's got boners on the brain.
My
now,
God.
Monica reads this from an overdue water bill.
Really connected that.
And the charges go way up in the month of October, maybe because that's when the hex started. I love that. High-speed Halloween hijinks.
What a
Or
fun
it's also when
detail.
Agatha moved in. We know she loves
good.
gardening, all those
Yeah,
purple
she does.
flowers, using a lot of hose water. I don't know. They might still be the Wonder Gore Ever Bloom after all.
So you mean to tell me during Wanda's hex, they still got electrical bill charges?
Never underestimate the capitalist system, my friend. They will
What?
always find a way to get that bill to
Wanda's
you.
like, let the DWP come through.
Yeah. We can't
Let them
have
come-
my
let
fantasy
them
world
come.
hindering the economy, all right? Let's keep things within reason.
I don't know. They might still be the Wonder Gore Ever Bloom after all. Especially if Agatha's not dead. She's gonna be growing stuff in that town. Can't wait to revisit Catherine Hahn. Now she also gets this from the name on his headshot, meaning Ralph is an aspiring actor. I actually assume they used one of Evan Peters' real early headshots.
absolutely.
I love it. Now the fact that water bill's overdue, an aspiring actor living in Westview, New Jersey in that house, the guy's broke. Ralph is not Jimmy Woo's Missing Witness, folks. This isn't like a casting assignment. That's not what they do for people in federal missing witnesses. Look at the headshots, their names on it. They know what their own face looks like. He's just an actor, and people in federal witness protection are forbidden from any attention-grabbing behavior, like going anywhere you might appear on the news or attempting a freaking acting career. That, plus his water bill goes back several months, and Jimmy said his witness moved there recently, and Jimmy saw Pietro on screen and didn't say anything. So stop asking me if Ralph is a federal witness protection person. He's not. But he's not. But then Billy, future Wiccan, uses his
you solved it. You solved it.
Interestingly, he sees Wanda using her chaos to the townspeople before she actually does that in the following scene. That means Billy can see the future. Like Raven. Wanda pleads her case.
You're fine.
Like Raven.
I've kept you safe in here.
Billy.
You feel at peace.
Doesn't this sound like the kind of rationale other MCU villains use? Like Loki saying, is this not simple?
Wanda's a
Or
villain.
Thanos expecting the universe to be great.
Wanda's a villain.
They all mean well, but as Agatha correctly points out,
Heroes don't torture people.
you know who does? Villains. She's gonna be a villain.
Wanda's
now,
a
Wanda
villain.
tries to be merciful by opening the hex.
I gotta say, if you guys haven't heard Jeremy Johns' review on the last episode, he pointed out something really great. Hayward is not really a villain. That Hayward, yeah, he's got like a dick attitude, but Wanda's really the villain of this whole season. And Hayward is just trying to, you know, save the people of Westview. Yes, he's building a sentient weapon and all that, but he's not really doing anything that's villainous other than his attitude and the fact that we root for Wanda.
Yeah, and we know her intimately and everything about her struggle.
Like they throw in the moment where he tries to shoot one of the kids, but that's about as far as it went, and it was put in the last episode. But prior to that, it's really been Wanda who's the bad guy. And I love that. I'm still on Wanda's side. I still don't like Hayward.
Team Hayward, man. Where's my Hayward t-shirt from New Rockstar?
I'm just saying it's a fascinating perspective.
Opening the hex walls, which with this red color does kind of evoke the parting of the Red Sea by Moses, which would let the Hebrew slaves flee to freedom, but also lets in the cruel Pharaoh. This case, as the town glitches, the movie theater marquee toggles between ones we've discussed, Big Red and Kidnapped, the way these people are kidnapped in a Big Red hex. Also Vision 8, Big Red Gum, Oz the Great and Powerful, and this modern one, Tannhauser Gate, which is a nod to the Tears of Rain monologue in Blade Runner. This episode also deals with the philosophy of AI and metaphysics like Blade Runner did. And
that's
then
cool.
The fun and dysfunction
that's
seems
really
to be
cool.
a fictional title. Like you can see a yellow poster for this movie in the post-credit scene. Looks like a rom-com, maybe a kid's movie. But the theater name is the Coronet Theater. Coronet is a small crown, reflecting the Scarlet Witch crown at the center of Wanda's identity and Agatha's envy. Also, during this glitching, you can briefly see a billboard flipping to an ad for Hydra Soap, the soap commercial from episode 3, just like how we saw Wanda's paper towels last episode. And with the hex now open, Vision, Billy, and Tommy begin to disintegrate, and their particles are these Tetrisy jigsaw blocks, like the walls of Wanda's house, as she constructed it last episode. Both a nod to Joe's amazing House of M cover art that I've referenced like a million times. And the family lines up like the Incredibles back in episode 6. Wanda protects them with a spiritual shield, just like Violet does for her family. Now, in the library is this banner reading, "The library is a place to be," with beehive hexagons, which I only bring up because clearly Agent Franklin's beekeeper form had to mean something. Another loose end that we will address in Inside Marvel.
Or it could be related to Doctor Who and how the bees are...
Oh, the bees are missing! The bees are missing!
I forgot what the bees actually meant in that episode we watched, but yeah!
And then Vision cleverly tricks White Vision with a logical paradox.
I request elaboration.
I'm gonna use the out of that. So Vision brings up the ship of Theseus from Greek philosophy. How much can you replace the pieces of something until its identity has now changed? With White Vision stuck in a paradox, both are the true ship and neither are the true ship. This is kind of the way they try to defeat Robot Santa with a logical paradox in Futurama.
Consider this. You are programmed to destroy the naughty. But many of those you destroy are in fact nice. I submit to you that you are naughty and that logically you must destroy yourself.
Unfortunately for White Vision, his head wasn't built with paradox-absorbing crumple zones. So Vision offers a solution to the paradox.
Perhaps the rot is the memories, the wear and tear of the voyages, the wood touched by Theseus himself.
So Vision is saying memory determines identity, the soul. That's a big reason why it's so meaningful later
Memory
when Wanda
determines
finally
identity.
justifies Vision's existence as an extension of her soul. And he echoes this same concept.
I have been a voice with no body, a body but not human, and now a memory made real.
Vision restores the memories from the data inside White Vision, showing us lots of MCU flashbacks. First, panels showing characters in the moments from Age of Ultron, Iron Man, Hulk, the Hulkbuster armor, all in Johannesburg, and then Avengers Tower.
Marvel
Wanda
Studios
walking out the door in
opening
Sokovia,
logos.
Also Vision's birth and Avengers Tower, then Shuri scanning his head in Infinity War, the moment he grabbed Ultron's head, which is kind of what this moment with White Vision is paralleling, the gold versus the blue color tones. Gold representing the Jarvis-voiced Vision, blue representing a soulless AI. Then when he wielded Mjolnir and fought sentries in that Sokovian church, Wanda fighting him to save Hawkeye in Civil War, his 2 deaths at the hands of Wanda, and then Thanos in Wakanda in Infinity War, a shot of him firing that beam that hit Rhodey in the Civil War airport battle. You can actually see Giant Scott behind him there. Wanda flirting with him in Avengers compound, Vision helping her up after that airport battle, Wanda cupping his face in Scotland in Infinity War, then Wanda trying to heal Corvus Blade's wound right after that, and then Thanos getting that Mind Stone, turning him into the corpse that
Editors had a blast.
With these memories restored, White Vision declares himself Vision and blasts the
I am Vision. Bye.
Peace. Assemble the Avengers, maybe the Apple Store to an iPod. I don't know. We're going to talk more about White Vision's future in tomorrow's Q&A. Wanda teasingly vanishes in front of Agatha, signaling to us that she has been picking up some of Agatha's moves and has another learned tactic up her sleeve. The boys handle the military, love that line, with Tommy stealing a hat the way Quicksilver stole a hat as a speedster in the X-Men films.
There are nods, damn it!
Children, though it looks like that first shot would have gone between them. Hayward poorly shoots at children, but Monica heroically jumps in front to take the bullets. She doesn't know these kids have superpowers like she does, so that's nice of her. Now this time her eyes glow yellow. This time her eyes kind of glow a different color, reflecting whatever radiation she's connected with in that moment. Perhaps here, maybe it's the gunfire or the metal of the bullets, but either way, the bullets refract through her and then slow and then drop out the other side.
So cool.
It's just another example of Monica's abilities as Spectrum or Photon, whatever name they're gonna go with, absorbing all forms of energy and sort of redirecting it or reapplying it. But interesting, notice her eyes follow a bullet as it whizzes past her, a sign that she also must be capable of moving at super speed.
I never thought of that.
And then I love it, Darcy rams Hayward in that funnel cake truck, which remember, that warped from an armored truck in episode 6.
And
it actually warps back to that later. And remember, warped materials retain their composition, explaining why she could
It's still
ram
a funnel
Hayward like
truck.
this. Wanda picks up the
We can
Agatha
make funnel
cursor,
cakes
the
and
same
do
quick movement that she
tactical
did to the Avengers in Age of
recon.
Ultron. In this case, Agatha's nightmare is the painful memory of her witch trial. Seeing her coven resurrect might have been why she was so fearful of Wanda being able to raise the dead. But then the coven turns on Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, recognizing her as the foretold harbinger of chaos, with her red crown forming on her head, linking it to the blue crown that formed on Evanora's head. But Wanda ends up breaking out of this, using Agatha's envy for the chaos magic against her, feeding her more of it and more of it, while luring her into a trap of runes that disable her magic, just like the ones Agatha used to trap Wanda.
How did
And
she
I
learn
love the
runes
moment
so
Agatha
fast?
tries to use her magic, but nothing happens, just like Thanos in Endgame.
Inevitable.
So Wanda absorbs Agatha's magic and becomes the full Scarlet Witch. Amazing costume.
That looks
with
great.
This
Yeah,
nice
it does.
M shape in the crown,
Looks
like
great.
one of the runes down in the basement, maybe hinting at a future House of M event in Multiverse of Madness.
Magneto.
With this M shape in her crown and this other interesting runic shape on her belt buckle, I'm wondering if both of these could be some sort of protective runes that
Probably.
protect Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, wherever she goes. Very cool design.
I gotta say though, how did she learn the runes so fast? Did she really not know? Was it be embracing the Scarlet Witch that just allowed her to like have these exponential powers? And because in the timeline of when this occurred, we have a week apart when watching it, but in the timeline, it's been like
Hours.
an hour. You know, it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
As this picks up immediately after the events of episode 8. It kind of feels like a bit of a nitpick, maybe.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I think they did a really nice job actually of like visually showing like how she works it into the fight, but at the same time I'm like, yeah, how would she have known? Did she just memorize exactly those runes and hope for the best? Does she actually know what they mean? Or is it one of those things where it's like, I'm going to intend for something and it's going to carry me
Yeah,
through?
it's true.
You know?
Because she seems to be doing a lot unintentionally, and then
Yeah.
here it seems is obviously intentional. I mean, don't get me wrong, still a badass moment.
Hell yeah.
Some are comparing Wanda's wardrobe to Magneto, Michael Fassbender's look, but I really love how it incorporates
That is
the colors
true,
of all the
damn.
magic she now possesses. The way Agatha's purple and blue dress
I think that's true because like I had a thought. I'm like, this looks like a real mutant costume, something out of the X-Men universe, but I couldn't quite pinpoint why. And then you see this side by side, and you do feel a very big similarity here.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's intentional or not, but damn, that is. If you were to be like they're crossing over, and you show these images, you're like, oh, that looks like their father and daughter right here.
Well, I wouldn't put it past Marvel to be refining the way in which they parse out these hints and details, and so it could be something more on the subconscious level for right now that could be ailing something like this.
And then they bring in Michael Fassbender and just call him Harry P. Ness.
Yes, definitely. And then bring in McAvoy and he could be Mike Hunt.
I really love how it incorporates the colors of all the magic she now possesses, the way Agatha's purple and blue dress did. Here, Wanda's red and Agatha's purple mix to form this dark scarlet, and then you can see little stripes of blue on the legs. She's got the power of herself, of the Mind Stone, of Agatha, and of the other members of that coven. And Wanda, now if you listen, has a bit more of her Segovian accent come back, decides to imprison Agatha as a nosy neighbor Agnes in Westview.
I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're cruel.
You're cruel.
You have no idea what you've unleashed.
Indeed, a dark move by Wanda to trap Agatha in this dollhouse routine.
She's done dark moves already.
Agatha turns into Agnes, notice she retains the brooch. No matter what, that stays with her. But now it's kind of a way Wanda can identify her, almost like a scarlet letter. And then the two part with...
I'll be seeing you, Agnes.
Not if I see you first, hon.
If I see you first, sounds like a veiled threat. Agatha may come back to haunt Wanda before Wanda expects it. And then Wanda and Vision tuck in the boys, saying family is forever. And Wanda interestingly says this.
Boys, thanks for choosing me to be your mom.
Another sign that these boys might have come from a source outside of
Here
Wanda's
we go!
magic. She didn't conceive and give birth to them.
Here we
they
go!
chose her. It's kind of like a rescue dog. Who rescued who, right? No. Vision hold hands as the hex closes in, reflecting that famous
didn't say Mephisto.
How could you? Hands watching their world collapse around them. But then Wanda says this beautiful monologue.
You, Vision, are the piece of the Mind Stone that lives in me. You are a body of wires and blood.
I love his eyes here.
That I created. You are my sadness and my hope. But mostly you're my love.
And like we do, Vision cries a single tear, matching that panel in Avengers 58. And they promise to find each other again. Maybe Wanda's future in the multiverse could result in a Vision from an alternate reality, merging with White Vision, similar to the insanity that restores Vision in the comics. But right now we're getting ahead of ourselves. This is about letting go, not figuring out when we're gonna find each other again. And as we cut from Wanda's hex to reality, you may notice her right hand starts being higher, and then suddenly her left hand is higher on the other side of the cut. But I don't think this is a mistake, because a real detail here. Emotional trigger warning. Her wedding band and her engagement ring are also now missing from her left hand. So the last thing this fading hex did was lift the rings off her finger, essentially reversing the moment Wanda magically married them. So now Wanda finds herself back.
You know, the production team really should get more credit for their attention to detail on things.
Script supervisors.
That is so heartbreaking. So many stories and little, like more than clues and Easter eggs, there's often enhancement of story within the production design of these Marvel properties.
Well, and what a bookend too, you know.
Wanda finds herself back in the empty lot, as if nothing has happened. Dorothy waking up from the dream.
Nothing has happened.
Nothing is cool when your world is gone.
At the end of the episode, you realize it was all a bad dream.
But the people of Westview will never forget. Way to ruin it for all mutants, Wanda. These people are so mean to the mutants. But Monica at least wishes her well.
Bye, Wanda. Good luck.
Good luck does take Wanda back to that simple probability hex that she could cast as a kid, back when bringing herself good luck was as magical as it got for her. But my oh my, how this witch has grown. Post-credit scene number 1, the scroll searches on. This scroll is an associate of Nick Fury, an old friend of Maria and Monica Rambeau from the days of Captain Marvel, setting up Monica to join Fury on that scroll space station that we see him on in the Far From Home post-credit scene, which is again 7 months after this. By the way, I'm thinking this is not Talos's daughter, because Monica probably would have recognized her and be like, like, hey buddy, nice eyes. But they reveal this scroll transformation directly in the lens flare of that projector light. Kind of a weird shot setup, right? I'm thinking maybe it's another visual setting up Monica's future as Photon or Spectrum, which both names come from the fact that she has an electromagnetic physiology. But the final scene picks up with Wanda in a cabin by this mountain lake. We got a couple options for where this could be. This could be just her home country of Sokovia. Some are saying it could be Alkali Lake, the location of the Weapon X lab that created Wolverine, or it could be Wundagore Mountain, the location of the Citadel of the High Evolutionary, where Magda gave birth to Wanda and Pietro in the comics. Bova showed up in episode 2, remember? Bova's the bovine nursemaid created by the High Evolutionary.
Watch it just be like Colorado.
Yes.
It's just a place she went just to hide.
Yeah, it's a place she saw on a postcard when she was young, and she just went there.
If this is Wundagore, that tea Wanda brews could be that Wundagore Everbloom herb I theorized Agatha was brewing for her in episode 7. There's something weird going on here. Wanda freaking bare hands the metal handle of a tea kettle that was just boiling. Guess the girl likes it hot. Now, what's going on here? Wanda is using astral projection into her Scarlet Witch form to examine the Darkhold. Kind of like the way Doctor Strange used astral projection to study sorcery while he was sleeping. But the fact that Wanda is doing it while awake is troubling, because how is she splitting her consciousness like this? Everyone else does it when they're either incapacitated or sleeping.
Put it like that.
Wanda seems to be pulling alternate versions of herself already from alternate realities to be able to do this. But listen to the music here. This is Michael Giacchino's Doctor Strange.
This is the #1 comment in our reaction.
And Giacchino composed the opening Marvel Studios title card theme. This version of it actually first appeared in the Doctor Strange movie in 2016.
That's the most Doctor Strange tease we get.
Has been here with us in WandaVision the whole time. But in the final seconds from the Darkhold, Wanda hears the voices of Billy and Tommy calling for help. Wanda's eyes widen with recognition. We flash to red. What's going on here? Well, how did we get here? Remember, the camera swooped in from an insane distance, and without cutting, it glides all the way into the back interior room.
I didn't notice that.
Very eerie, very Evil Dead, Sam Raimi. It's like we are a disembodied spirit, a fellow astral projection watching Wanda. Maybe Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, whose powers Wanda has apparently surpassed. And the Avengers, she will probably be a villain too in Multiverse of Madness. I think Wanda is recreating what we saw in the Darkhold pages. The wavy-haired sorceress creating these circle hexes. Doing what? Channeling her Nexus powers to tap into the multiverse to find an alternate reality like the one she created, where she can go on to be with Vision and her sons. But the problem is, those voices have some mystery outside source.
Nothing about it.
Now that their voices are screaming out for help, it makes us wonder what darker threat this Scarlet Witch unleashed, to use the word of Agatha's warning. Look, there's all kinds of demonic forces out there. We're gonna meet at least one of them in Multiverse of Madness. I went in the other video while I'm still on that crazy Mephisto train. Obviously not for the 9 episodes of WandaVision. He was a total no-show. Hundreds of you have been very kind to remind me of that. Thanks. Hey, now that Marvel has set the stage for Satanic Witchcraft and Darkhold, there's always a future Marvel title, Loki. Multiverse of Madness. Just saying, if those demon spawn are still in the mix, the devil is still in the details. But hey, to be honest, I don't really care about that right now. I'm just in full appreciation for this series. With its creepy, funny, heartbreaking, mysterious nonsense, and being able to theorize about it week to week with you all. So thank you so much for sticking with me and knowing that New Rockstars is always aimed for more than just like theory accuracy. Like if you were with us before WandaVision, you know that all too well. And if you found us through WandaVision, welcome. The madness is just beginning. And another reminder to check out our Unusual Couple shirt, which is still available but selling out fast because a new latest Obsession collectible will be announced soon. Get it at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EAVoss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for everything Marvel. Thanks for watching, boners.
A+, Voss. A+.
Yeah, you know, like, I think WandaVision was a spectacular series and it was a real beautiful moment for all of us. And like I said at the beginning of this video, you know, that's part of the fun is theorizing. And I've never seen it before to the point where people seem legit, like, mad at people who do Easter eggs and theories for getting pumped up and then rubbing it in people's faces for when they're wrong. I'm like, whoa, you guys are getting out of hand here.
This is supposed to be fun. This is part of the joy of jumping into these things and probing at them and seeing whether you found it or not.
What, they just focus on the story itself?
They just focused on giving us proper conclusions to the emotional beats they set up.
What the hell?
They didn't just focus on minutia.
I think it's one thing to criticize the episode or the series based off of what was actually given to us versus what you were expecting to see.
Or what you were hoping might happen.
Yeah, because the final episode is definitely not my favorite episode of the season. I loved it in so many ways. There were criticisms I obviously had. I don't think it's the strongest one, but as a whole package of a series, it's like 9.98 out of 10 for me, you know? Like, it's pretty high up there. So, yeah, like, I think it's just been a great experience. And the fact that this was Marvel, like, MCU's first real show, to have this week-to-week theorizing, Easter egg hunting. Like, I've never been involved in an experience like that with a series where you're like, this will affect the future of the MCU, and we're all trying to theorize together. And it's just been a blast. And that's part of the fun, and it's part of what happens with fandom. So, I think this has just been a great experience. And we just gotta appreciate the hard work that Marvel's put into it.
Absolutely. This is the highest production TV show I've ever seen, probably. Not that those lines really mean that much anymore, but yeah, this was something that was really impressive, and it was a step outside the box for them. It had a lot of stuff we love about
Step
Marvel.
outside the box, I put us in a box.
Oh, hexagon box! As much as it's fun to get wrapped up in these theories, what they paid off was the right stuff, and the only thing I could not really argue you out of being upset about is the whole Bohner thing, but even that got a little better looking at what Eric said here, so.
Kind of. I mean, I'm still like, what were you thinking, Marvel? Especially knowing it's a week-to-week show, they would know that most people will be excited at the idea of Quicksilver being in it. Like, yes, I get it for storytelling purposes. Like, all right, fine, whatever.
That's not the point.
But at the same time, even though the reveal of who he really is, who Ralph really is, the amount of emphasis on putting Evan Peters in here, they kept him hidden for a reason. And the way they hid him from on-set photos and stuff, they really kept it private. Like, they would put like things over his head while transporting to make sure people, there's a reason they hid him, because they knew fans would react this way.
Yeah.
So I do think it is like a kind of a messed up move on Marvel's end.
You know, they've learned a lot over time about how to do things, but I'm sure that there's still a couple things they have to figure out.
Yeah.
You know, especially when they are expanding the boundaries and getting a little more wild and having a little more fun with it. You know, I mean, it's a thin line between a joke and a troll. So
I do think that this was amazing. And thank you, Eric Voss, and all the whole team at New Rockstars for all the hard work you guys put in. I mean, love your guys' videos. Can't wait to see what you guys do for Falcon and Winter Soldier, man.
Oh, yeah.
And don't worry, Mephisto will come.
Oh, he's got to.
I believe. I believe in Mephisto.
That's the new shirt. That's the new Rockstar shirt that's coming up.
One day, Aaron Voss is going to be an old man rocking his chip.
I swear.
Mephisto will come. Mephisto will come.
This next phase, I can smell it.
I think he'll come.
Phase 45, he's coming. I know it.
His deathbed. Eric, they brought Mephisto into the MCU. Rolls over, dies, a brooch falls out of his hand.
Eric Voss's final words. No more fan theories. Rest in peace, Eric.
All right, guys. Well, leave your thoughts down below on the show. Subscribe, hit that like button, click that notification bell, subscribe to New Rockstars if you haven't done so already. Last but not least, Adelia Chamberlain. Adelia, I haven't talked to you in a while. That is completely and entirely my fault. So behind on all my messages, but I know how much you were looking forward to this series, and I hope that it has been a great sense of escapism for you week to week. I just want you to know that I'm so behind on replying to you, but you haven't left my thoughts. And every day I feel a little bit of a guilt pressure. Be like, crap, must get back.
Dude, you're leaving Adelia out to languish. But it's okay, Adelia, because we love you, and we're gonna create our own little hex reality where this doesn't have to happen anymore.
You just wait.
You don't have to wait for messages. We can just communicate freely.
You the bomb, and I'm about to light that fuse, and you're gonna blow up, and then I'll be thrown in jail for murdering you. Like, was that where this went?
You know, if you light off the Adelia bomb in a safe place with not a lot of stuff around, you could probably get away with it and call it an exhibition.